Just think you're a billionaire. What would you imagine? Now I can do everything what the hell I want, my whole living in peace, and I'll be rich until death. But you're wrong. Did you know many billionaires in the world are broke and now they are in a typical condition? Today in this video I'll tell you about the 10 billionaires who completely lose their fortune and declared bankruptcy. But before we start, please subscribe my channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Number 10. Adolph Merkel. Adolph Merkel was one of the richest people in Germany. He made his money as the head of a drugs and engineering conglomerate. In 2007, his net worth was $12.8 billion by estimates, Forbes, and by May 2008 he lost $3.6 billion due to massive financial crises. Despite the huge loss, he still remained one of the 5 richest men in Germany. But by the end of 2008 his investment firm Vim faced a serious liquidity crisis and reported $6 billion in loss. Then Merkel played a huge gamble by making a series of risky investments which ultimately caused him lost everything. He had nothing left in 2009. After all, Adolph Merkel committed suicide on January 5, 2009 by throwing himself in front of a train near his hometown. Number 9. Jocelyn Wildenstein. She became billionaire by her 1999 high-profile divorce from billionaire art dealer and businessman Alec Wildenstein. She received $2.5 billion in her divorce settlement and $100 million each year for the following 13 years. She was well known for her lavish lifestyle and many plastic surgeries. Her so much plastic surgery gave her a nickname Catwoman. Catwomen spent $1 million monthly to maintain a rich lifestyle. She once calculated her yearly telephone bill at $60,000, but in 2018 she declared bankruptcy. He said her Citibank account balance has $0, and her friends and family pay her ongoing expenses. Now, the rest of her assets are a $1,000 wardrobe and $100 television. Number 8. Sean Quinn. He was once the richest person in Ireland with a net value of about $6 billion in 2005. Sean Quinn acquired a great deal of success through his investments in industries such as plastic, glass, and hotels. With the help of his holding company Quinn Group, he purchased stakes in various multinational companies including Bupa Ireland and Anglo-Irish Bank. But 2008 worst crash also hit the Irish banking system. Sean Quinn lost almost all of his wealth. Soon after, he was charged with contempt of court for attempting to hide his property assets from the bank in an effort to avoid paying back his debts. Financial Times reported that in November 2011, Quinn claimed his assets to be less than £50,000 and said he had applied for bankruptcy. Quinn was sentenced at the High Court in Dublin on November 2, 2012 to 3 months in jail due to continued asset stripping and non-cooperation with the Irish banks. Number 7. Bernard Madoff. He was the king of Ponzi schemes. In his scheme, Madoff offered his clients high and steady returns which he actually managed by pooling all the funds in one bank account. But his scheme failed in 2008 after crises. Federal investigations uncovered a $64.8 billion of fraud, and this is the largest financial fraud in U.S. history. It was estimated that during his operational years, Madoff accumulated billions of dollars in personal wealth. On June 29, 2009, Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison. Number 6. Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya is an Indian businessman and a former billionaire. He was India's richest liquor king after taking over his father's mid-sized company at the age of 28. He turned that business into a multi-billion-dollar firm, making a personal fortune of $1.5 billion. Mallya owed more than $1 billion in bank loans. By November 2015, the amount owed to the banks had grown to at least $1.35 billion, and there were other debts owed for taxes and to numerous small creditors. As part of his Kingfisher airline collapse, Mallya is accused of money laundering, misappropriation, etc. With millions of dollars in debt, Mallya fled India to seek refuge in the United Kingdom. According to Business Standard, the businessman is accused of bank fraud and money laundering charges amounting to an estimated $1.3 billion. Mallya's net worth was greatly reduced after a bankruptcy petition was used to recover £1.145 billion in owed funds. Number 5. Alberto Villar. Alberto Villar is a former US-based investment manager who made billions through his investment company Amerindo Investment Advisors. At its height, Villar's company had an estimated net worth of $1 billion. But in 2000, a violent stock market badly affected both his and his company's financial status. In 2008, Mr. Villar was convicted of 12 counts of securities fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering, among other charges. The judge sentenced him to 9 years in prison for his role in a $22 million fraud scheme. Number 4. Alan Stanford. Alan Stanford is an American convicted financial fraudster and former financier and was also a sponsor of professional sports, but he is now serving a 110-year sentence in federal prison for running the second largest Ponzi scheme in U.S. history. He was the chairman of the financial services company Stanford Financial Group. One of its subsidiaries, Stanford International Bank, claimed it had around $8.5 billion in AUM, asset under management, of at least 30,000 clients in over 136 different nations. SEC accused him of account fraud for illegally selling $8 billion in high-yield certificates of deposit in a massive Ponzi scheme. He was finally arrested in June 2009. His net worth is now listed at $0. Number 3. Bjarnigolfsson Gudmundsson. He was the second richest man in Iceland that held 45% shares of Landsbanki, which was one of those three largest banks in 2002. According to Forbes in March 2008, Bjarnigolfsson was ranked 1014 on the list of richest people worldwide with a total wealth of $1.1 billion. But the banking crisis of 2007 to 2008 affected Iceland more than any nation in the world. In crises, Bjarnigolfsson lost his chairmanship of Landsbanki and declared his personal bankruptcy a year later. In less than 1 year, his personal wealth went down from $1.1 billion to $0, and now he is nothing. Number 2. Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes is one of the American youngest self-made female billionaire in 2015 with a net worth of around $4.5 billion. She founded and was the CEO of healthcare technology company Theranos. Elizabeth also took position in Time's 100 Most Influential People of 2015, but it all came crashing down when the shortcomings and inaccuracies of the company's technology were exposed, and Holmes and her company were charged with massive fraud. Commission has charged Elizabeth Holmes with financial crimes. The regulator says that the blood testing company raised more than $700 million from investors by making false and exaggerated statements about its technology and performance. According to Forbes, his current net worth is $0. Number 1. Eike Batista. In early 2012, Batista had a net worth of $35 billion, ranking him the 7th wealthiest person in the world, and the richest in Brazil. His source of income was mining, oil and gas industries. His demise as a billionaire began after a sudden crash in the mining industry and the collapse of one of his biggest companies, OGX. Within 2 years, Forbes reported that Eike Batista lost nearly $20 billion. Batista is currently under arrest and has been sentenced to 30 years in prison for bribing and high-profile $100 million money laundering case. And here are another videos for you, and don't forget to like, share and also subscribe to the channel.